playing it. But you know what game you need to play? I'm going to tell you right now. You need to play my NFL Conference Game of the Year absolutely free. Give me a call, 888-320-7517. That's 888-320-7517.
This is the Conference Game of the Year. 888-320-7517. 888-320-7517. We mentioned this game earlier, Houston going to Baltimore. Both teams are 1-3, but Houston's coming off that high a week ago when they hammered Tennessee.
Yeah, this is a tough game. Also, you don't know what's happening. I know Lamar's not playing, and they're now a dog at home. Don't like the game.
How surprised are you that Baltimore, the Ravens, considered by many going into the season as the team to beat for the Super Bowl, that are sitting there at 1-3?
Well, they need to go 500 now that Lamar's out, and when he comes back, they still got a shot.
They really do have a shot, but they are struggling currently. Both teams 1-3. Houston and Baltimore should be an entertaining game. But nothing, and I mean nothing, is more entertaining than winning money, and Kevin can do that for you.
If you want to make money this weekend, I have my NFL Conference Game of the Year, and it's yours free. All you have to do is give me a call at 888-320-7517. That's 888-320-7517.
Kevin, why are you so great at what you do?
I put hours and hours of work in analyzing these games. And folks, let's face it, 98% of the public loses, only 2% make money, and I'm in the top 1% of that 2%. You want my NFL Conference Game of the Year? Give me a call, 888-320-7517.
And I know this isn't a hobby for you. This is a business, assisting people on how to make money.
Listen, the only way to treat this like a business, folks, is less games, more money. I'll build your bankroll. Give me a call, 888-320-7517.
And you have a tremendous track record in the NFL, don't you?
A $500 player's up $6,500. A $1,000 player's up $13,000 since the beginning of the season. I will make you money. Give me a call, 888-320-7517.
Give Kevin a call, 888-320-7517. 888-320-7517. And we talked about this off air. You are so confident in this week's play.
I love this game. Give me a call, 888-320-7517.
How much fun is it for you to beat up on Las Vegas?
A lot of fun. As long as I'm making money, my clients are making money.
Yeah, you've made your clients very happy over the years. And after last week, picking Houston over Tennessee, getting Jacksonville plus the points, and winning outright at San Francisco, they got to be thrilled with you.
Listen, that's the kind of information I get week in and week out. And I'm telling you, folks, I have my NFL Conference Game of the Year absolutely free. Give me a call, 888-320-7517.
And again, why are you the professional that professionals turn to?
Why? Because I make my clients money week in and week out.
He's the best in the business. He's Kevin Todd. Give him a call, 888-320-7517. 888-320-7517. And you treat gambling like an investment, don't you?
I take the gambling aspect out of it. Less games, more money. You want to make money this weekend? Give me a call right now. You will get my NFL Conference Game of the Year, 888-320-7517. 888-320-7517.
Give Kevin a call, 888-320-7517. That's 888-320-7517. He will make you a lot of money, and especially this week with his NFL Conference Game of the Year. And he's won the game 11 consecutive seasons. He'll make it number 12, and you'll make a lot of money. Kevin, let's do this again next week. For Kevin Todd and engineer Mike Parnell, I'm Randy Rosenblum. Until next time, may all your bets be winning ones against the spread.
This show has been pre-recorded and paid for by TBS Advertising, doing business as thesportsbrokers.com.
This is your home for Kansas State Athletics. 96.5 The Fan. KFNC FM and AM HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station. Welcome into Fantasy Football Sunday with Mac Morey,
Joffrey Reynolds, Who is Joffrey Reynolds?
Running back, Calgary Stampeders.
Be sure to follow Mac on Twitter at MacJMaury25.
4 touchdowns, drops a 40-burger on me.
This is your home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan. Here's the man, the myth, the Mac.
Yeah, except Mac's on vacation and left all of you guys. I'm just kidding. The guy's got a well-deserved break, okay? We'll cut him some slack here this morning. Logan Webber in here with you guys for the Fantasy Football Show here on 96.5 The Fan. Producer, as always, extraordinaire Jacob Mustard along for the ride. And I have to be honest, my fantasy football team personally is in absolute freefall. I started the year 2-0, rolling, but I have lost my last 2 games, and injuries have begun to pile up. Namely, I had Malik Neighbors on my team. So I was at the game. I was at Arrowhead last Sunday for the Chiefs-Ravens game and had to watch with 100 other people up in the press box last Sunday as Malik Neighbors fell to the ground. And I'm like, this is my 2nd-round pick. That's cool. No, it's fine. It's fine. At least I have Justin Jefferson, who's done pretty much little to nothing all year because nobody seemingly in that Vikings quarterback room knows how to throw him the football. But it's been better, at least so far. I mean, first quarter, Justin Jefferson has 6 points, almost 7 points. Vikings did just score a touchdown. Yeah, okay. I saw that, Jacob, and no. All right? I had a whole discussion about that last week on After Hours. I made a plea to parents to get their children to stop saying the phrase 6-7 because it is nauseating. So do not do that. Don't make that little hand gesture thing. You're going to drive me insane already. It's 9 a.m., all right? I have a whole day ahead of me. Do not start it off like this.
I forgot you're also kind of working in schools as well.
Yes.
So you probably get that all the time.
Dude, it is, especially like the middle school kids. Like, I swear, if it's like they hear something one time and either they think it's funny or they say it and somebody else thinks it's funny, it becomes their entire personality for the next 6 months. And it's the only thing they'll say. I'll have a group of middle schoolers for 50 minutes in a class period. I will hear the phrase 6-7 at least 100 times. Twice a minute, somebody will say it. And most of the time, it's the same kid who just says it over and over again like it's the only words in his dictionary. It's ridiculous. Back to the matter at hand, all right? We got fantasy football action, and we got a game going on right now. So if you were looking for picks for the Vikings-Browns game, any start-sits, too little too late on that one, right? The Vikings just threw a touchdown pass. It was Cam Akers, their running back, threw a 32-yard touchdown pass to backup tight end Josh Oliver. Fun fact for you, not only do I have Justin Jefferson on my team catching passes, I also have TJ Hawkinson. My tight ends are a joke, dude. I thought nabbing TJ Hawkinson and David Njoku was going to be like a mythical tight end pull in a fantasy football draft because those two guys have been pretty solid, although TJ just can't stay healthy. But Njoku had like a career year last year. Like, this is going to be great. Nada. These two guys have done absolutely nothing. David Njoku has been pretty much overtaken by Harold Fannin Jr. already, and we're in week 5 of the season. He caught the only touchdown pass for the Browns today.
Yeah, I've seen Njoku dropped in several leagues just because, I mean, people don't want to deal with it. And yeah, my tight end situation, I picked up Juwan Johnson off the waivers, and my tight end drafted was Colston Loveland, who I immediately dropped after week 1 and has picked up Jake Ferguson. So I kind of lucked out with him and the CeeDee Lamb injury and how many targets he's getting. But he's still in a high-volume pass offense, which is what's kind of expected.
Yeah, no question. I tried to pick up Juwan Johnson after week 2, but I was 2-0, so I was like 11th out of 12, or I was 9th out of 10 on the waiver priority list or whatever. So somebody else that was higher up on the list picked him up, and I lost my shot. I did make a couple of changes this week on my fantasy football team, namely because Malik Neighbors is out for the remainder of the year. I needed running back help. I only really had 3 decent, I guess you could say, tight ends, or running backs, I should say. I had Kyron Williams on top of my list, who was great on Thursday, aside from the fumble. If not for the fumble, he would have gotten me 35 or 36 fantasy points. Instead, he got me 31. No complaints there. Right? My number 2 running back is Amarian Hampton, who is coming off of the best week of his young career that he's ever had, and hopefully something he can build on moving forward, today against Washington team this afternoon. But I needed help beyond that. Like, I drafted Joe Mixon in the last round of my fantasy draft because I'm like, he's going to start the year on the IR, but when he comes back, he should be the starter. Although with Woody Marks and Nick Chubb, I guess, we'll see what happens there in Houston. I needed more. So this week, I picked up Michael Carter with the Arizona Cardinals because you've already got, James Conner, or not James Conner. The starting running back for the Cardinals is going to be out for a couple of weeks. So I figured make a run at a guy like that. He's a good enough runner of the football. He can help me survive for a couple of weeks. The one that I'm kind of curious about, Rico Dowdle, I picked him up from the Carolina Panthers. Just because I'm not entirely sure how long Chuba Hubbard's going to be out, even if it is for a week or two. Just something. I just need a little something in the running back room because I am thin at that position right now.
Well, and that pickup of, if anybody has not, if you go to your waivers right now, if Rico Dowdle is there, go pick him up. 2 DNPs in practice for Chuba Hubbard this week.
Yeah.
He played through an injury last week and re-aggravated it. He is going to miss some time. We saw that with Trey Benson, and where Trey Benson kind of tweaked something at the end of the game, and now he's on IR. If Hubbard is to miss time, Rico Dowdle is their starter. They have Trevor Etienne is their second string running back. So, yeah, Rico Dowdle is a great option. He was proven last year in the Cowboys offense and got some really good touches there. This week, if you can get Dowdle and stash him, he's probably going to be a very good play for the next 3 weeks, especially with their schedule.
Yeah, I've actually got him slotted into my flex this week. I'm looking at it from the perspective of, like, my other wide receivers. So prior to Malik Neighbors going down, wide receiver was my biggest position of strength, and it probably still is, but I had Justin Jefferson as my wide receiver 1, Malik Neighbors at wide receiver 2, and then I kind of fluctuated in my flex position with either Michael Pittman Jr., Jacoby Myers, or DJ Moore. I was kind of going back and forth with those guys. Really, Michael Pittman's been the most consistent theme there, but now considering Malik Neighbors is out for the year, he's gone from my primary flex option to my wide receiver 2. And so I'm sitting there looking at my flex going, do I go with Jacoby Myers against Indianapolis, a team that's been pretty good defensively this year, and a guy that really hasn't been as effective since that week 1 game as you would hope from him? Like, Trey Tucker has sort of taken over as the wide receiver 1 in that Raiders offense the last 3 weeks, which has been kind of terrifying to look at, aside from obviously Brock Bowers. So I decided to go with Dowdle at my flex instead of Jacoby Myers, which is just going to play out great for me when Jacoby Myers goes for 8 for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns today and scores 30 points. I'm going to love every bit of that.
Oh, trust me, I understand. We made a couple trades in our league this week, and my flex play, I decided to pick up Kendrick Bourne after I learned that Brock Purdy was out. And I was kind of relying on that old Patriots combo between Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne. But then a second trade hit my inbox, and I was able to bench Kendrick Bourne. And so I no longer get his 20-some points because they're on my bench.
That's tough. Not an ideal situation for you at all. Man, if you're a Quinshon Judkins fantasy owner and you started him today, you are sick to your stomach. That man just ran for like a 50-plus yard touchdown, called back on account of holding. He ran all the way into the end zone, like threw the ball up against the wall and was celebrating, turned back around, saw the penalty marker was down, an immediate 2 hands on top of the helmet, just full panic mode, like you have got to be kidding me. Regardless, it's a 7-7 game. First quarter just ended. Quinshon Judkins has accounted for over 60% of the Browns' offense. Dylan Gabriel has 28 yards passing, and Jerome Ford has 3 yards rushing. Quinshon Judkins is the other 48 of their 81 yards of offense. Or 79, I should say 79 yards of offense. So far, so good. You know, hopefully we get I see a little bit more from TJ Hawkinson over the next 3 quarters, but 3.5 points in the first quarter. Got 2 catches for 14 yards. Jay Jettis, 3 for 38. I'm looking at my other options. You know, Michael Pittman against Vegas. Rico Dowdle against Miami, a Miami team that should pretty much throw in the towel at this point. I would say your defense is banged up. Tyreek Hill just had major knee surgery and is out for the remainder of the year. Tua is not a quarterback that can win you a big game. Give it up, Miami. So I'm hoping that Rico Dowdle can have some semblance of success. But the Carolina Panthers are sort of in the same boat of like, yeah, just call it a night. Just wave the proverbial white flag. You've got 2 more years of Bryce Young under this rookie deal, so you're kind of stuck with what you got. It's going to be an interesting week in the National Football League. A couple people have already sent some stuff into the text line. 913-586-7965 is our number. And we'll get more into the start-sit as we go along later on in the program for sure. But somebody was asking, pick one to play: Stevenson, Krosky Merritt, or Demarco? I'm not sure.
DeMarcado.
DeMarcado. Okay. I was like, I don't recognize that name.
It's the other option on the Cardinals' backfield.
Right. I like DeMarcado. The problem is that he's much more of like a pass-catching back, I would say, than Michael Carter is. Now, I picked up Michael Carter this week, but I'm not going to start him because I just want to know what happens, like where they go from here. Krosky Merritt is another kind of interesting option. I haven't really done a lot of looking into Krosky Merritt, you know. But
as a Bill owner myself, you kind of just have to. He's been really good in the yards per carry department, and he has been overall looked the best out of the 3 options after Eckler's gone down. However, he's just not getting the touches. It's still a 3-way backfield. If you can sit on that for another week or 2, this is the point where we see rookies. We tell everybody, wait on your rookies. They will go off. And as soon as they start learning the offense, it takes them more than a couple weeks. And this is the time where you kind of see a tough matchup. Maybe the other running backs get a little dinged up. Merritt gets more options, and then he kind of solidifies himself as the starter. So hold on to your rookies. Stevenson's not a bad play. It is against the Bills in prime time, so you get to watch your player on prime time. I'm always a fan of doing something like that. But it's also a Bills defense that is not as good as it previously was. So yeah, I would be choosing between Stevenson or Krosky Merritt. They're kind of having the same outlook this season so far.
Yeah, I just diving into it a little bit more, and the more I think, I would probably lean Krosky Merritt. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Like, I know that Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt's best individual game this year was probably week 1 against the Giants. I mean, his first game of his NFL career, 10 carries, 82 yards, and a touchdown. And after that, he became less effective. Only 4 carries for 17 yards week 2 against Green Bay. He had 8 for 26 and a touchdown in week 3 against the Raiders. Last week, he still only had 7 carries, but he went for 47 yards. I mean, that damn near 7 yards a carry last week against Atlanta. Also had the most catches he's had in a game this year. It was only 2, but 2 catches for 10 yards. 9 touches is sort of where he's hovered around right now. But you mentioned the run, how with rookies, as they get a greater grasp of the offense, I think that you'll see those guys get more opportunities. The Chiefs have talked about that already when it comes to Brashard Smith, right? Look at Ramondre Stevenson. Look at who he plays for. And let's think for a minute. Do the Patriots have a rookie running back that they're pretty high on that does some pretty special things athletically with the football in his hands that could possibly be getting more of a run in this offense? Well, yeah, Travion Henderson.
Yeah, and they have him. The issue when it comes to that is the fact that Stevenson fumbled twice, once on the 1-yard line and in the first drive of the game after they got a drive-saving penalty. And he was still the starter the next week and got a bulk of touches. Travion Henderson is cutting into the workload, but until I see Henderson as a starter, it is just an uncomfortable start. And then the other thing to mention about Bill is we haven't seen this offense with Jaden Daniels for too long, except for that week 1 matchup. So Jaden Daniels is back this week, although he does have a brace. The defense is not going to be able to pack the box as much with Daniels at the helm instead of Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
So that's another thing to look forward to. I kind of forgot Jaden Daniels was out or was coming back until they just showed him today. So that's another thing that could boost the offense. I don't mind starting Bill either.
Yeah, Ramondre Stevenson's numbers do not wow. Week 1 against the Raiders, 7 carries for 15 yards, 2 yards a carry. He had 11 for 54 against Miami, which is a little bit better, close to 5 yards a carry. 4 carries, 18 yards against the Steelers. And he had 9 carries for 38 yards against the Panthers. Does not have a rushing touchdown at all this year. And he's been pretty limited in the passing game. He's got 11 catches for like 130 yards. So does, he's got more. I think he might have as many receiving yards as he does rushing yards this year, which is not at all ideal. He's got 141 yards through the air. He's got 125 on the ground. Yikes. That's a running back. That should not be the case. I would lean Krosky Merritt. Somebody says, 2 questions. Darius Slayton or Malik Washington, Michael Carter or Travion Henderson? Ooh. My gut reaction off rip is Darius Slayton. Because, yes, I know that the Giants are in kind of flux with their offense right now, going from Russell Wilson to Jackson Dart and going from Tyron Tracy Jr. to Cam Scattaboo and that rookie backfield they're trying to get acclimated, and with Malik Neighbors being out. But I think with Malik Neighbors being out, it's going to increase the workload of Darius Slayton. He becomes the wide receiver 2 now behind Wan'Dale Robinson. At the same time, Malik Washington now kind of becomes wide receiver 2 for the Miami Dolphins. This is an interesting philosophy because Malik Washington has primarily in his career kind of been known as a return specialist more so than anything else. He's got he's a speedster, but the guy's only got 8 catches this year. And in an offense that is typically a lot of 3 wide receiver sets where Washington is on the field, he's not seeing a lot of run. I would probably lean Darius Slayton. The other one is Michael Carter or Travion Henderson. 2 running backs, young guys who are splitting time with somebody else. Honestly, I think Travion Henderson has a higher ceiling than Michael Carter, but Ramondre Stevenson is so ingrained into that Patriots offense that it's a little bit harder for Travion Henderson to take away snaps and take away carries and touches versus Michael Carter, who is in a 1-2 running back punch with DeMarcado. But those 2 guys are very different. DeMarcado is more of the receiving back of the 2. So Michael Carter could see a lot of the opportunities on 1st and 2nd down, I would say. I would probably lean Michael Carter just a little bit. But if you want to go with Travion Henderson, I completely understand because I believe he's got the higher ceiling. We'll go into more start sits as we go along here. But when we come back, I want to run through the weekly schedule in the NFL this week and who I believe to be some of the big-time players, what some of the biggest factors are going to be fantasy-wise in some of these games coming up Sunday and, of course, Monday night with the Chiefs and the Jaguars. 913-586-7965 is our number. Start sit coming up in just a little bit here on the Fantasy Football Show, 96.5 The Fan.
You're listening to Fantasy Football Sunday with Mac Maury, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views. Make sure to follow 96.5 The Fan on Instagram for more fantasy football advice with Mac all season long. Your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. The service is free and provides a report with solutions verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we could recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-351-4596. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-351-4596. 800-351-4596. 800-351-4596.
DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming soon to the Show Me State. New Missouri customers can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. And when we go live, place just a $5 bet to unlock $300 in bonus bets. Starting November 17th, you can create your DraftKings Sportsbook account in Missouri and get ready for launch day on December 1st. DraftKings Sportsbook brings you everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live December 1st. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
It's time for Mac's Matchups.
You know, I haven't swiped right on 500 men.
This is Fantasy Football Sunday with Mac Maury on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
That drop is phenomenal. Oh, Mac.
I forgot you didn't know that was.
Oh, that is so good. That's the thing about, like, being in this business and, like, being in front of the microphone. Sometimes you say things completely well-intentioned that, like with anything else, right, when taken out of context, just sounds atrocious. Like, I can remember one of my favorite stories, and we'll get into the matchups here in just a second. Logan Webber here with you, filling in for Mac. Jacob Mustard behind the glass here on Fantasy Football Sunday. When I was working in Springfield, this was probably close to 2 years ago now, it was July because it was right after the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. Joey Chestnut won, right? And like set a new record. He ate like 68 hot dogs in the 3 minutes or whatever it is. I refuse to watch the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. I think it's gross, and I also despise hot dogs, so I don't watch it. But we come into the studio, that next Monday after the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, and my co-host is talking about Joey Chestnut and how he is the best eater on the planet. He then refers to Joey Chestnut on air, and I kid you not, as the throat goat. That became a drop. We used it for the next 6 months, and it still got me to laugh every day. And he was completely well-intentioned, and we all knew what he meant, but context is key in that situation, and it can really, really not pan out for you very well if taken out of context. All right, let's get into Max matchups here on this Sunday, October 5th. Let's go down the list. Let's begin with some of the big matchups. Cowboys-Jets. Boy, this is a game that is going to be interesting. I'll tell you one thing. My biggest takeaway here with Cowboys-Jets, George Pickens. I know. George Pickens is a boom or bust king in this league. Has been since he arrived in the NFL. But with no CeeDee Lamb, the Cowboys' running back room has been a lot better than I think people were anticipating with Javonte Williams. But it's still Dak Prescott and the Cowboys' offense. I don't care who the head coach is. I don't care who the offensive coordinator is. They always seemingly throw the football a lot. Look for George Pickens to get involved. You mentioned earlier that you picked up Jake Ferguson off waivers in your fantasy league. I think he's an interesting addition, too, because he will continue to see targets. Brandon Cooks is kind of like a sneaky flex option if you're really limited in your league. Like if you have a 12 or a 14-team league, I think Brandon Cooks could be a sneaky option. But I think if you've got George Pickens and you don't have another viable tight end on your fantasy team and you're looking at Jake Ferguson, or maybe he's on waivers this morning and you need a tight end, I think he's an interesting addition. You starting him this week?
Yeah, I mean, I added him back in week 2 after Colston Loveland's kind of disappointing outlook to the season and how the Bears talked him up and then hardly used him. He's, I think, tight end 2 on the season right now in points, so he may not be available in your waivers. If he is, pick him up. I mean, I'm starting him over the likes of Juwan Johnson, Brenton Strange, all until you get to the top tier of Trey McBride and those tight ends is where he's kind of at right now. A solid high upside wide receiver or tight end 2, low end tight end 1. Just because he's going to get the value while CeeDee Lamb is out, probably due for 10 targets a game.
Yeah, he's probably like a tight end 12, tight end 15, right, overall over the course of a season. But if you're in one of those 12, 14, 16-team leagues that somehow exist, you might be a little bit limited on your options.
I told Mac I did a 32-man league last year.
Ugh. That would be awful. Like, you'd be sitting there, like, looking at your flex, and you're just staring down the barrel of, like, the Carolina Panthers third-string running back in a league like that because there's no availability whatsoever. That waiver wire must be a monster. Just a gauntlet to try to get a player you want. All right, next game I've got is Giants-Saints. I've seen some people, like I've seen articles this week that are like, hey, look at Jackson Dart. And I'm like, yeah, I know Jackson Dart can move a little bit and he can run, but they're not going to throw the ball 30 times a game yet. Honestly, if I'm looking at anybody in this Giants offense this week to potentially start, Cam Skattebo. Look for that man to continue to get involved. And I wasn't big on Cam Skattebo coming out of Arizona State, admittedly. And I'm not of the opinion that he's going to have a long and dynamic career in the NFL. He's off to a really good start. I mean, he impressed me in that Chiefs game, and he was good last week. If you need some help at that flex position or if you've got a running back who's out or on a bye and you need an RB2, look towards a guy like Cam Scadaboo. And for the Saints, Chris Olave, if you've got him, and obviously Alvin Kamara, because that guy has earned the benefit of the doubt.
I will say pay attention to Kamara. I'm not sure if he's going to be a healthy scratch or not. Kendre Miller, if he is on your waivers, go stash him. The backup running back. I think he's second or third year running back now. With the injury concerns to Kamara, I mean, he is older. And you could see Miller get an uptick in volume, even if Kamara is the starter. So it is kind of a wait and see. Like you talked about earlier in the broadcast, I mean, they're at the point of kind of giving up on the season.
Yeah.
And it's only week 5. So it's one of those where we could see a Kamara downtick. I mean, he's in a ton of trade talks.
Oh, 100%.
So they may be trying to keep him healthy for those. So just keep your eye on the Saints offense and Kamara. And Kendre Miller, if he's on waiver, snag him up.
Yeah, I've heard teams like the Chiefs, of course. I've heard the Chargers seem to be somewhat interested in a guy like an Alvin Kamara to help maybe push them and get them over the hump a little bit more with a laxed running back room. The Chargers one is kind of a strange situation for me. I know you lost Najee Harris, but you've got a rookie in Amaron Hampton who was the starter already. So why would you trade for a guy in Kamara who is a starter in this league? Raiders-Colts sounds like this might be the most healthy that Brock Bowers has been in quite some time. And he's Brock Bowers. I mean, he is, I would say, probably a top 3 tight end in the NFL. And some would probably say he's the best tight end in the NFL at this point in his career. So he's always a guy that you're going to look at as being extremely viable. Michael Pittman, despite the fact that his weekly projection numbers in NFL fantasy have not been great this year, he's bypassed it. He's a top 15 receiver in fantasy so far this year. And Daniel Jones seems to really like him and gets him consistent targets. So I would look towards a guy like that. Jacoby Myers, it's been boom or bust with him, but he did have 9 targets last week. So Geno Smith is trying to get him more involved in the offense. I personally did not start him this week. I benched him at my flex in favor of Rico Dowdle. I'm not entirely sure what to make of this. And I'm still nervous about the Colts entirely because is the Daniel Jones thing real or is it a fluke, right? That first half against the Rams last week, it looked like Daniel Jones was turning into the proverbial pumpkin, but then the second half played much better football. And then, of course, for the Indianapolis Colts, if you have Jonathan Taylor on your bench this week, you have only yourself to blame because the guy has been the best back in football through the first 4 weeks of the season. He leads the league in rushing yards. Put Jonathan Taylor, if he's not your RB1, he should definitely be your RB2. And if he's your RB2, I want to know who your RB1 is. Dolphins-Panthers. I mean, Jalen Waddle's workload, sheer targets alone, is going to grow exponentially, right? I think that with that is going to come a lot more attention from defenses. He's going to see a lot more shell looks, a lot more double teams, a lot more press coverage with shading underneath and those sorts of things. But I think Tua is still probably going to get him 10 to 12 targets on a week-to-week basis average. So if you've got Waddle as a wide receiver 2 or a flex option, not mad about it at all. And I know I've already seen people asking about Darren Waller here this morning. I'm not sold yet. Okay, this guy wasn't in the league a year ago. He was retired making music. And yes, I know that Tyreek Hill is out, and now the Dolphins are going to need to do something else in a team that has traditionally been pretty pass-heavy. But they still have Jalen Waddle, and they still have a good receiving and running guy in the backfield in Devon Achane and Ollie Gordon. So maybe we see some more 2 running back sets rather than these 31 or 22 personnel looks. I'm still not entirely sold on Darren Waller. Teteroa McMillan, He's been impressive as a rookie for the Carolina Panthers. And, of course, I've mentioned it a couple of times already, Rico Dowdle. I picked him up this week. I've got him starting at my flex just because I believe he is going to get a lot of touches in this offense for the Carolina Panthers because I really don't think that they're just going to drop back and throw the ball 35 times with Bryce Young. I just don't see it happening. The effectiveness of Rico Dowdle, that is yet to be determined. But I think from a volume standpoint, he will have opportunities. Broncos-Eagles, J.K. Dobbins has been steadily improving in this offense. He got off to a pretty disappointing start, right? I mean, that 63 yards on 16 carries against the Titans wasn't great. But the next week, he went for 76 against the Colts. He went for 83 against the Chargers. And last week against the Cincinnati Bengals, 16 carries for 101 yards. He has 3 touchdowns rushing so far this year in 4 games. And he has had at least 11 carries in all 4. So if you're looking for a fringe running back 2, maybe even a solid flex option because wide receivers can be pretty boom or bust in that position group, I think he is an excellent guy to have at that RB2 or even the flex position if you can swing it. But he does have RJ Harvey behind him, a guy who's got a little bit more explosiveness, right? Young guy, rookie. We've talked about the rookies a couple of times, that those guys get more involved in the offense. It becomes a little bit more difficult. And, of course, Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton's always good. And then for the Eagles, I don't know. Saquon's been up and down to begin this year, which I never thought I'd say. Jalen Hurts runs for 60 yards a game, but only throws for 110. A.J. Brown has done pretty much nothing and is now doing what he does best, and that is posting cryptic things on Twitter. Devonta Smith has kind of been the wide receiver 1 for the Eagles so far this year, but that's not saying much in a team that sees Jalen Hurts have more tush pushes than targets for their wide receivers. I don't trust the Eagles offense right now. I trust them to score points, but I don't trust any individual one of those players in a fantasy football setting. I don't.
No, and for the pass catchers, you're buying about 20 targets a game or 20 attempts a game with Jalen Hurts. The Eagles want to run the ball. If you have Saquon Barkley, you start him. If you have anybody else besides Hurts, you pray.
Yes, besides Jalen Hurts, pray. I mean, yeah, they only throw the ball. They only throw the ball, what, 20, 25 times a game? And you got to think about Saquon's getting a few targets out of the backfield. Dallas Goedert's getting some looks. Jahan Dotson, who they traded for from the Commanders, a former top 15 pick. And then Devonta Smith. And then A.J. Brown. They have weapons, and they don't throw the ball very often. I would lean against looking at anything related to the Eagles in this game. But maybe I'm just a certified hater. I don't know. That could also be the case. Texans-Ravens. Derrick Henry should get 25 carries in this game. I mean, he only ran the ball, 6 times against the Chiefs last week? He really barely got the ball in the first half, and then in the second half, the game got out of reach, and they just waved the white flag, and here you go, Justice Hill, do your thing. Mark Andrews is still an incredibly effective tight end, but with Isaiah Likely now back healthy, I don't know what kind of impact that's going to have on his touches and his snap count. No Lamar Jackson, so avoid any pass catcher, in my opinion, for the Baltimore Ravens outside of maybe one of the tight ends, because typically backup quarterbacks utilize their tight ends a lot, other than friggin' Carson Wentz with the Minnesota Vikings, who still won't throw T.J. Hockenson the football. And then for the Texans, I don't friggin' know. I don't know anything about this Texans offense. You got Nico Collins, who's a great star wide receiver in this league. 2 rookie wide receivers. For some reason, C.J. Stroud can't get any of them the football. The guy's constantly being pressured in the backfield. They might have the worst O-line in football. You've got 2 running backs in Woody Marks and Nick Chubb, neither one of which I have any idea who's the starter. And then what happens when Joe Mixon comes back? And the Texans' defense has been disappointing. Honestly, outside of Derrick Henry, I would avoid every single thing to do with this Texans-Ravens game, if you can. Titans-Cardinals. If your QB1's out, look at Kyler. I think he could have a big day against a Titans team that's pretty much already said, yeah, we can't do it. What was it that Cam Ward said last week? I'm going to keep it a buck. We ass. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. Don't put anybody on the Titans on your team. And for the Cardinals, I mean, if you want to go with Carter, you can do that. If you want to go with DeMarcado, you can do that. At the flex, I would say don't put them at an RB1 or an RB2. I think Kyler's going to have a good day. And I'm sorry, I'm not one of those people that's just going to assume that Marvin Harrison Jr. is a bust because he has a few drops this year. It is quite a few, right? He has not played well, but he's going to continue to get targets. I'm going to continue to have faith in Marvin Harrison Jr. Buccaneers, Seahawks, keep rolling with Kenneth Walker. I know Charbonnet is a trendy guy every single year on the waiver wire as the backup, but Kenneth Walker stayed really healthy. Continue to start Jackson Smith and Jigba because the touchdown catches are going to come. I truly believe that. He continues to get 9, 10, 12 targets a game, ton of yards, ton of catches, just hasn't found the end zone very often. I think that will come. Sam Darnold is another guy. I think that he's typically a backup quarterback in fantasy leagues, but if you got a guy on a bye or you got a quarterback that's hurt, right, you have Brock Purdy as your quarterback one, whatever, I think Sam Darnold's great. Very, very viable in that spot. Lions, Bengals, continue to roll with Jared Goff. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery continues to make me nervous. That whole matchup does, right? Both of those guys are effective, but you just never know who's going to get it on a week-to-week basis. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is the better player, but David Montgomery's been the more effective runner, I would say, overall.
They're a great pair, and something to note about who they're playing today. They're playing the Bengals. I would say start every single player on the Lions that you can.
Yeah.
I mean, there are jokes about leading up to this week that the Lions are going to put 100 points on the Bengals. I mean, if that happens, you're talking about everybody scoring fantasy points. So
it is, as of now, the largest point spread of the week. Detroit's a 9.5-point road favorite in the NFL. That's how bad the Bengals defense is. And if you bench Amon-Ra St. Brown this week, you should be investigated. That's all I have to say. The guy's got 6 receiving touchdowns in 4 weeks. He's the guy. And while it's been kind of a slower start for Sam Laporta in year 3, I still have all the faith in the world in that guy. Maybe it's just my Iowa bias showing a little bit. Commanders, Chargers, Jaden Daniels is back. He was off to a slow start before the injury. Maybe some of that sophomore slump thing that we're talking, that we've seen a little bit creep up into the NFL a little bit more. For the Chargers, I believe in Amarion Hampton, fresh off the best game of his young career. Love to see him build on that. I'm starting to avoid Ladd McConkey a little bit in fantasy leagues. He's still getting some targets and some touches, but he's quickly become wide receiver 3 all of a sudden. Quentin Johnston has morphed into this jump ball vertical threat who can actually catch the ball, and Keenan Allen does what Keenan Allen does. Like Justin Herbert as an option, like Amarion Hampton as an option, the receivers do make me a little bit nervous. But if you have Quentin Johnston, I'd start him. The guy's got a touchdown catch every single week this season. And for the Commanders, I don't know. Yeah, Jaden Daniels is back. Deebo Samuel's been super effective. They continue to get him touches, right? His volume is really good. So if you have him as a wide receiver 2 or a flex, maybe.
Keep an eye on him as well as the game leads up. There is potential injury reports with Deebo missing, and if he does, you're missing Deebo and Terry, and that's going to be a recipe for sure. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a disaster, as Zach Ertz is still that's a sleeper tight end you could pick up with these 2 receiving options being out. But he's probably going to be their go-to guy, and then the running backs out of the backfield. So that's one to look for.
Patriots, Bills, Sunday Night Football. Start Josh Allen. Seems pretty straightforward. Start James Cook. Seems pretty straightforward. Don't know about an individual like Bills or Patriots receiver to start.
Diggs is bringing up some volume. He's looking better as he's getting further and further removed from the ACL tear.
Yeah, better. And if you need a quarterback this week, Drake May has really looked the part, and even more so than he did last year as a rookie, where he started to look much better as the year went on.
I think May's averaging over 20 fantasy points a game right now, so he should be a solid start. It is a Bills defense that is questionable. I mean, we saw the Ravens put 40 on them, and they just haven't looked like the Bills defense of the past.
Yeah, so far this year, Drake May has close to 250 passing yards per game, 7 touchdowns through the air, and only 2 picks, and he's also got a couple of rushing touchdowns. This season, he's averaging 4 yards a carry on limited volume, only 24, but he's a guy that he's got a little giddy up, I would say. And then Monday night against the Kansas City Chiefs, roll with Patrick Mahomes. Roll with this man. He's my quarterback in my fantasy football league. I got all the faith in the world in this man. I think he's gonna put himself right in the thick of MVP conversations as this season goes on. I'm fully bought in after what we saw Sunday against the Ravens. I believe it wholeheartedly. I'm rolling with Xavier Worthy. I'm not super sure to start anybody else. Some it's been, Tyquan Thornton's been very effective, and we've seen Hollywood do some good things. Don't start Pacheco. Don't start Kareem Hunt. Don't do it. Because I think Brashard Smith is going to get about 35% of the touches, 35% of the snaps this week, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, and if Brashard Smith is on your waivers and you have a spot, pick him up, stash him for a week. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. And then for the Jaguars, nobody. Yeah, I know. Trevor Etienne, you start that guy as a running back 2 or a flex just because he's earned it so far this year. He's averaging close to 100 yards a game. This man is averaging 18 touches per game this year, 71 touches in 4 games. So the volume is there. The effectiveness of it, I'm not entirely convinced of because we know this Chiefs team is one of the best front sevens against the run in the league. 913-586-7965 is our number. When we come back on this Fantasy Football Sunday, let's get into some sit-start. That's coming up next here on 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports.
You're listening to Fantasy Football Sunday with Mac Morey, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views. Make sure to follow 96.5 The Fan on Instagram for more fantasy football advice with Mac all season long. Your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Don't you just love an NFL Sunday? You got your boys, your couch, your snacks, your favorite games, and FanDuel is sprinkling in something a little bit extra. This isn't just a normal NFL Sunday. It's your chance to place that perfect parlay or hit your favorite go-to player prop, and they're making it even better at FanDuel because they're bringing the bonuses. That's right. All customers can get a 50% profit boost on any NFL bet. So however you play your game, FanDuel's got your back when it comes to putting a little extra into your account because that's what Sundays should feel like. Visit FanDuel.com. Use my promo code KFNZ to download the app and get in on the action right before kickoff. And remember, FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of 96.5 The Fan and also the NFL. 21 and present in Kansas. Opt-in required. Bonus issue is non-withdrawable profit boost. Tokens restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Get up with your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit kansasgamblinghelp.com.
With great deals coming this Prime Big Deal Days, October 7th and 8th, greatness is a deal away. So if you love baking, you can get a deal on a new mixer, transforming you into the Lord of the Loaves.
Hear ye, make way for the baron of brioche, the sultan of sourdough, the lord of the loaves, Prime Member Dave!
Yeah, hi?
Get up to 40% off with Prime Big Deal Days, October 7th and 8th.
eBay has reinvented vehicle buying. From click to curb, everything's covered. Ever try to buy a car online and end up in a parking lot with a stranger and some blind trust? That era is over. Now with Secure Purchase, eBay isn't just where you find your car. It's where you buy it, start to finish. Title, financing, registration, delivery, it's all built in. This is the modern way to buy your next ride on eBay. eBay. Things people love. Secure Purchase is powered by Caramel Dealer Services, LLC, an eBay subsidiary.
Too many tools, too much stress, and way too many bills.
Odoo replaces it all.
One connected platform for every part of your business, so you can work faster, smarter, and for less. Odoo, the only software you'll ever need. Try it free today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Start or sit.
All right, here we go. 913-586-7965 is our number. Send in your start, sit requests. We'll give you the best advice we possibly can. Somebody called us buns earlier because I mentioned possibly picking up Jake Ferguson. I'm in an 18 fantasy league right now. Jake Ferguson got picked up in my league on Thursday. So in my 10-team league, he was picked up after week 1. You never know how the availability. And then I said Brandon Cooks was still in the Cowboys. He's not. He's on the Saints. So I'll own that one. First one I've got, start, sit, Nick Chubb or Isaiah Pacheco. Nick Chubb. Just on sheer volume. Nick Chubb has gotten immensely more carries than than Isaiah Pacheco has gotten this year. And with the emergence of Brashard Smith more involved in this offense and with Kareem Hunt being the short yardage back, Nick Chubb, in my opinion. Darren Waller or Strange? I lean Strange just because I know who he is a little bit more than Darren Waller at this point in Waller's career, a year after being, out of the league in retirement. I know that Tyreek's out and that may open some eyes a little bit and he may get more involved, but for now I would lean Strange even against the Chiefs defense. Kendrick Bourne or Brian Thomas Jr.? Well, the problem is that Kendrick Bourne already played this week, so you can't really make that decision. But maybe for next week, I would still go with Brian Thomas. I'm sorry. The guy has 32 targets this year in 4 games. I know he's only got 13 grabs, but the volume of opportunity is still there for Brian Thomas. And after such a good rookie year, I think it's still there. And I'm sorry. 1 week of Kendrick Bourne wowing against, for the 49ers against the Rams. I know that it's recency bias and it looks fun. I still wouldn't buy into it completely over a guy like Brian Thomas Jr. Okay, I got one here. Pick 3 from either Cam Skattebo, Derrick Henry, Javonte Williams, and Woody Marks. I would lean the first 3 guys on that list. Skattebo, Derrick Henry, and Javonte Williams. I know that Woody Marks got a ton of touches last week for Houston, and he was good. He's still sharing that backfield a little bit with Nick Chubb. While Woody Marks had 17 carries last week, Nick Chubb had 13. So there's still splitting touches. These other 3 guys are the running backs in the backfield. Cam Skattebo is the guy in New York. Derrick Henry is the guy, obviously, in Baltimore. Javonte Williams is the guy with the Cowboys. I would just, from that standpoint, not having a lot of other competition in the running back room, that's why I would go with those 3 guys in particular. Justin Fields or Jared Goff? Jared Goff. I'm sorry. I know that Justin Fields can run the football a little bit, and he's got some interesting options with a guy like Garrett Wilson. But I'm not entirely convinced of that guy's passing ability. I'm not. And Jared Goff has weapons galore. He's looked fantastic since that week 1 game that they lost. Give me Jared Goff over Justin Fields. Stephon Diggs or Zay Flowers? Stephon Diggs. Because at least he's got a starting quarterback throwing to him. Jacoby Myers or Tony Pollard? Ugh. I always sort of lean running back in those situations just because running backs typically have a more consistent volume. But the Titans are awful. So probably Jacoby Myers. I mean, he's proven it to me enough over the course of his career, I say, as I bench him this week. Jalen Waddle or Eo Maynor? Probably Jalen Waddle. Keon Coleman or Chris Olave? Well, I think Keon Coleman makes sense just because of who's throwing him the football versus Chris Olave, and I think he can be a good player. The Bills don't seem to be getting him the football a lot, I would say. So I guess probably Chris Olave. Rachaad White or Ladd McConkey? Oof. 2 guys that look like dudes at one point last year that have now just been completely overtaken in their own offense with the Bucks and Bucky Irving versus Ladd McConkey. Oh, man. Probably Ladd McConkey because he's still going to be on the field for 80-90% of those plays. You know, I would still probably lean Ladd McConkey in that situation.
Well, and the main question with that is since Bucky got ruled out, do you trust Rachaad White to pick up where he left off before he lost the backfield, or do you trust Ladd McConkey?
I would still probably say I trust Ladd McConkey more than Rachaad White. And maybe that's unfair. Juju or Woody Marks? Woody Marks at the flex over Juju Smith-Schuster for sure. Okay. So somebody's asking for a flex option here. Tedoroa McMillan or Javonte Williams? Tedoroa McMillan has been really good as a rookie. Ton of speed, big body, go up and get it, vertical threat, red zone target. Javonte Williams has been really consistent with the Cowboys. I think you can't really go wrong in this situation. Frankly, if you're looking at those two guys as a flex, I think your fantasy team must be in pretty good shape, from what I understand. I maybe lean a little bit more Javonte Williams in that situation. Rico Dowdle or Kenneth Walker? Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker for sure. That guy's proven it. Rico Dowdle, I don't know, he was with the Cowboys last year. And the Panthers are awful. I would lean Kenneth Walker. Jamison Williams, Stephon Diggs, or Christian Kirk? Well, not Christian Kirk. I'll say that one flat out. Probably Jamison Williams. I mean, he's a big play threat, right? He may only have 3 catches in a game, but he's going to go for 104 and a touchdown at least.
And with them playing the Bengals.
Exactly, dude. I'm leaning Jamison Williams. Amon-Ra St. Brown can't catch 2 touchdown passes every week. Maybe you can. I don't know. Keenan Allen or Devonta Smith? Keenan Allen. Just on sheer volume. Eagles don't throw the football a lot. Makes him hard to trust, in my opinion. Bench 1 wide receiver. Godwin, Sutton, Brian Thomas Jr., or Diggs? Ooh. I would maybe say you bench Brian Thomas Jr. this week. I like this Chiefs secondary. I think Trent McDuffie and those guys are going to give him fits, as if he hasn't struggled already. And then flex 1, Javonte Smith or Rico? Javonte Williams, for sure. Did I say Javonte Smith? Javonte Williams. I would flex him over Rico Dowdle. Appreciate you guys joining us. Mac out this week. Logan Webber been here with you alongside my producer, Jacob Mustard. After Hours coming up next. Jay Binkley going to be with you from 10 to noon, getting you set for NFL Sunday here on 96.5, The Fan.
You're listening to Fantasy Football Sunday with Mac